All right, welcome back, everyone, to our podcast series. We took a week off last week, but we're excited to be back. And this week, I have with me Grace and Ashley, who will be leading a freshman small group next year. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. Well, tell me, what have you guys been doing over the last couple of weeks? Ashley had a good answer earlier, so I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Well, I have been baking like crazy. So collectively, my family has definitely achieved that quarantine 15. But I definitely enjoyed it, and I'll bring back some recipes to share with y'all next semester. But yeah.
Yeah, I heard about some chocolate chip cookies with an Oreo inside, which sounds delicious and like enough calories for 2 meals all in one. So awesome. Grace, what about you?
Well, let me tell you, I have convinced my parents to let me and my sister go down to Harry Potter World for Christmas. Let me tell you how I did it. I love Harry Potter. So we've been watching each movie like each night. So right now we're on Order of the Phoenix. And my parents love Harry Potter. So I've been doing that. I've been reading a lot. I started the Harry Potter books. They're fantastic. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of cooking. My mom is making me cook. I've made like herb chicken and like some weird beef meal, but I've been doing a lot. I've been a little jack of trades recently. So
yeah, that's awesome. I was just at Harry Potter World for Christmas this past year, and it's very fun. I would highly recommend, however long the line is for Hagrid's roller coaster, get on it. It's worth it. It's super fun. And I think they just opened up a new roller coaster at Universal in the Jurassic Park world. So
right.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of fun stuff to do.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I'd love to hear from you guys how you got plugged into InterVarsity. What was that process like for you? Tell us a little bit about how you got plugged in and why you got invested.
Ash, do you want to go?
Sure. So I first heard about InterVarsity at Carolina Way Camp when Zane came to speak. And I met several people who were in InterVarsity at Carolina Way Camp too. So I was like, I want to check that out. And I did, and I loved it from the beginning. So it was the only campus ministry that I checked out, and I have absolutely no regrets.
Cool. Yeah, Grace, I know your story is a little different than that.
So the first time I heard about InterVarsity was also at Carolina Way Camp, but I was pretty committed to another ministry first semester. So I never really checked out any new student outreach stuff or any other ministry. And by the time it got around to leadership in my other ministry, I just really wasn't feeling at home. I wasn't feeling like I had a community there. So my roommate now, she was in InterVarsity, and she's like, well, just come with me for a weekend. I'll take you to small group on Thursday, large group on Friday, and then leadership on Sunday. And if you don't like it, you don't have to come back. I won't make you come back. So I did all of that, and I just loved it from the beginning. In small group, I was able to open up and be vulnerable, with a group of people that I didn't even know, which doesn't usually happen for me. And then large group was different than anything I'd ever experienced, a large group to be like. And then Leadership Institute was super challenging for me spiritually, which I loved. So same with Ashley, I went once and then I just committed and always came back.
Awesome. Cool. Well, in that same vein, why don't you guys tell me what you love most about InterVarsity, what you're most proud of, what you think one of the best things is about the ministry as a whole?
I can start with this one. So my favorite thing about InterVarsity is obviously our small group. Ashley and I are in the same small group. And I think just the community that we've been able to create from that small group, just with vulnerability and hanging out, we're all such good friends. So I love that I'm able to grow with them and also grow with Christ. That's been super rewarding. But I think my favorite thing about InterVarsity, especially during a time like this socially, has been just the inclusivity of all different minority groups and races and ethnicity groups. And I think in a time like this, I'm super thankful for people like my friend Jeremiah, who comes in and wants to curate a community for Black men in his small group that they want to come and share. So I think that just now looking at all the injustice in our society, I have been so thankful to call InterVarsity home with the amount of inclusivity it has for people of color and different ethnicities.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. That's something we're really proud of. Ashley, what about you?
Yeah, along the same lines as what Grace was saying, I love the community aspect of it. I'm also a person who is very fond of consistency. So just knowing this is the small group that I'm going to have the rest of my time at Carolina is just really nice, and we're really able to be vulnerable with each other and get to know each other. And I also love that in a university we do discipleship, which is a very intentional time to grow one-on-one with someone, and trying to become more like Jesus. So it's just such a great opportunity and experience.
Yeah, awesome. That's really great. On the flip side of that, we're in a period of growth. So the ministry has grown a lot in the past 2 years, and we anticipate continuing to grow. That means that there's still things that we want to grow in and work on. So what are some dreams that you guys have for the future of things that you would love to see us continue to be better at or continue to do better on campus?
That's a good question. I think something that Ashley and I have talked about just for our small group in the future is just, again, like continuing like creating that community. But I think as a whole, a bunch of our like freshman small group leader girls, we've talked a lot, and just like doing like big events like we've been doing like for your birthday, and then like where we had movie nights that just work a community just outside of our small group. Like we're all one big InterVarsity community. And then again, just continuing with outreach, how we do it, like new student outreach, and like making sure that we're reaching the people on our campus who like we wouldn't normally say like, oh yeah, like they would be in our small group, like people that, you know, like we usually wouldn't go up and talk to outside of our friend group, and just continuing to like pull them in and letting them know that like we love you and you're worth it, and like we want you to come and be a part of this, which I think InterVarsity already does really well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I agree, Grace. And something else that we were able to do one time before, like, we were sent home, but pancakes and prayers, just having a prayer meeting is so amazing and so great to spend time in prayer with each other. So I would like more opportunities for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is that InterVarsity is a student-led organization, and so that Pancakes and Prayer Breakfast was, I think, Ashley's idea, and she really took a lot of the organizational steps to make that happen. And that excites me to see students come up with ideas and then carry out those ideas to provide something for the community as a whole. I would love to hear how you guys got to the place where you decided that you wanted to be a leader. What was the process like? What made you excited about being a small group leader next year?
Ashley, you want to go?
So I don't know if you want to.
No, you're all good. Take it away.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I am not a very like quick to be very social with people person. And what really like made me love InterVarsity was our small group leaders, because they pursued each of us with an open heart and a true desire to get to know us and love us. And the way that both Megan and Abby, those are my small group leaders, pursued me in the beginning and honestly continuously, um, it was just something that I've never really experienced before, but it was very special, and I would love to be in the position to pursue the ladies that we're going to be able to lead and let them know how loved and valued they are, and how not only do we desire a relationship with them, but our God desires a relationship with them. So if I'm even able to model that, like a little teeny glimpse of that, then that's amazing, because that's what I've been shown this far in InterVarsity.
Yeah, I'm completely. I think that Megan and Abby, who are our small group leaders, like when I was first thinking about being a small group leader, I was like, oh my gosh, like what happens if the girls don't like me? Like what happens if I don't have enough knowledge? But like the thing about it is that they're just our friends. And I'm the opposite of Ashley, which is why I think that we balance out so well. Is like I'm the first person that's like, I want to talk to everyone in the room. Like I want to be people's friends. I want to be social. And like just seeing the way again that they pursued us, and just like we're like, let's go grab lunch, like let's go grab dinner. I was like, oh, I can do that. Like I can just be people's friends and like point them to Christ. And like I think that's again something that Ashley said that they do so well, is like just pursuing us constantly. I mean, they've talked to me throughout all of Greg, like throughout most of the summer, and like they just continue to want to show up for us. And that's something that gets me so excited, just getting to be there for the girls that we're going to lead, and then just getting to point them back to Christ in every opportunity. I think it's going to be so, so, so rewarding.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to get a chance to do that. Speaking of, one of the things I'm most excited about for the two of you is getting to watch you work together, and just the energy and the vibe that that's going to have for your small group. So tell me a little bit about y'all's relationship, what you're excited about leading together, and maybe even a little about what you think the vibe is going to be in your small group and why they're excited about that.
Well, I'm a pretty awkward person. I'm just gonna put that out there. I say the wrong things at the wrong time. I don't know what to do with my hands a lot of the time, so I talk with my hands a lot, like Ricky Bobby. Um, so Grace and I think what made Exec put us together is that we both in our interviews said like we're awkward people and we just want to be the most awkward people in the room so that everyone else feels comfortable. So expect random knock knock jokes from me, or like just corny jokes, or random bursting into dancing, or just laughing in silences, because that's just who I am. But I'm also able to be serious too sometimes. But
Ashley is a self-professed world-class dancer. It's a self-proclaimed title, but we would agree, I think. So
yes, I worked so hard for that. I'm gonna make myself a sign.
She's also the best comedian that I know. Like, Ashley is so funny. I just like her dry, witty humor is just my favorite thing. So I'm gonna echo exactly what you said. Like, it's gonna be weird, it's gonna be awkward. I talk with my hands. We might bring in props, but probably not like cool, funky hats. I don't know, something like fun. We'll bake cookies. We'll have like a little class pet, small group pet, or something like that. But I think that, yeah, I think one of the big things that I love about Ashley is just her patience. Like, she is super fun and funky, and like I just love her for that. But I think she's also super patient with me because I'm so just like big and extroverted all the time that she knows how to like kind of corral me in. So I think it'll be a great balance between the two of us, just like us just kind of like going back and forth. I don't think it'll be like a fight to see who's going to talk. Like, I think that we balance each other out really well. So I'm super excited.
yeah, one of the small group stories that I've heard before from a group that predated you all at UNC was about a guys group who their leader bought him a pair of UNC boxers, and they would have a different man of the week every week, and he would have to go wear the boxers like over his pants in like random places and take a selfie, and then that person would choose the next man of the week. So with y'all's small group pet, I can just imagine like a pet rock with a face drawn on it being taken in selfies all over campus, then being passed on to the next woman of the week. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think the Instagram and group message for y'all's small group will be strong. Yeah, so awesome. Yeah, great. Tell me a little bit, give me like a preview of the one event or activity that you're dreaming of that you're most excited about for leadership next year. Apart from the pet rock idea that I just gave you, which is clearly gold.
I think two things probably. I'm so excited for our first like large group where we finally get to all be back together, if that's happening. If not, we'll make it work. Just like the vibe of large group and just like having everyone be in there, I have missed so much. But as far as like small group goes, I think just like the first time that we all kind of go out together, like apart from small group, like we had like a bunch of dinners, we would watch movies. I think just like that time to just like be ourselves and not have to worry about like, oh, we have to like take notes and like annotate this, but just like get to really open up and have that like first 15 minutes where we talk about like happies and crappies like for the whole night, and just to like spill out and talk about our weeks. I am so excited for that.
Happies and crappies. We have so many names for highs and lows amongst the different intervarsity groups, but that's what she's referring to. Ashley.
I've never heard the highs and lows referred to that before, but I think it's funny. Yeah, I am so excited for large group in whatever form that's going to take place in. I'm so excited to see everyone again. Yeah, pretty honestly the same as Grace. Like, I'm so excited to see our girls again and just have small group in person the way it was meant to be.
Awesome. Great. I would love to hear from you guys about the ways that you feel like you grew spiritually over the past year. Obviously, community is a really big deal to us, and we really believe that the best place for spiritual growth to happen is within a small group community. But would love to hear just from you guys, what's a way that you really saw yourself grow in your relationship with the Lord over the course of your freshman year?
I think for me, one thing that I've grown in like tremendously is like the power of prayer for me. Like I think, especially in the last few months, like I have so underestimated the power of prayer. And like usually when I would pray, I would just like, it would be like one big prayer at night and then one like thank you prayer in the morning. But I think that I've realized that like throughout my day, I'm starting to see myself like thank the Lord for stuff and like exalt his name when like I feel just like so filled with him. And just like those little points throughout the day like are able to like get me through and like remind me that like he's always with me. So I think prayer I've grown in so much and just like literally praying like all the time. And I think also spiritually, I guess this is kind of spiritually like something that small group has taught me is just like to be able to speak my emotions better. That's a bad sentence, but like I'm able to like verbalize them better. I won't just say like, oh, I'm stressed out. And they'll be like, well, why? And I'm like, I don't know. Like they've helped me like put words to my emotions, which I think has helped me like work through it with the Lord because they allow me to like get to the root of the problem. And they're like, okay, now go and take that to the Lord and like see what he can do with it. So I think that's the way that I've grown spiritually is being able to like take a step back and say, okay, like how am I really feeling? What is the root of this issue? And like, how is the Lord going to help me through it?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. For me, prior to coming to Carolina, I had an unhealthy relationship with work. Like in my mind, even though I didn't really understand it was what I was doing, I had, this is God's things and these are my things and work is my thing that I can control and I have to be on top of everything in regard to that. And so just learning this year what it means to fully surrender my all to God. And I am by no means like there yet, but just having a small group to work through it with, working through it in discipleship, learning from large group, the relationship between work and rest and how rest is a God-given gift, and just learning that like as a steward of creation, everything that I am is God's. Like my time, my energy, my work, it's all God's. None of it is for me to build my name, but all of it to glorify his name. So really understanding like what that mindset looks like in my week, being able to put work down and go to sleep at night rather than staying up till like 3 a.m. to get every little thing done, and understanding that I'm not at Carolina merely to get a degree, but to build my relationship with God, and in doing so, tell as many people as I can of how awesome and loving and amazing he is. So it's been such a blessing to be involved in InterVarsity because being able to see how God is working in their lives too and just work this out together, it's been awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I think that that's probably one of the hardest lessons for anyone to learn. College students in particular, we kind of come in with this idea of the things we get to control. And I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I've realized how little control I really have. Like that's more of an illusion that I kind of trick myself into believing. So I really appreciate that idea of turning over control to the Lord and learning to surrender, which I think is a really powerful term. Yeah, I think, not to go off on a tangent, but a lot of issues that we face have to do with our relationship with power and what we think we're supposed to do with it, which is essentially to hold on to it and protect it, and to believe that if given the most amount of power, we could fix everything. When in reality, the instructions that the Lord gives us about power is be very careful when you have it, use it and leverage it for the sake of other people, give it away for their benefit. And that's a difficult lesson to learn, but I really appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about the disciplines that you guys have adopted this year. Grace, you already mentioned prayer, but tell me a little about a spiritual discipline that you've leaned into this year that's been really helpful in your own growth. Because I think growth doesn't just happen by putting yourself in the right places. It happens by actually choosing to relate to the Lord in new and creating in new ways, and then creating space for him to occupy. So what disciplines have you guys used this year that have been helpful and worked?
Sabbath. I love taking the Sabbath. And I think that Ashley, like, I didn't even realize I've also grown in that area until Ashley said it. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like, I don't really have that unhealthy relationship with work anymore. And Sabbath has been such a blessing. And I think that, Zane, you said it perfectly in leadership. You were like, Sabbath is not an excuse for you to like work harder the other 6 days of the week, but like it really is just an excuse for you to like take time to just rest and sit with the Lord. And like on those Saturdays or Sundays, whichever one I take, like the Lord has been so present, like in my times of prayer and my quiet times, or when I'm just like reading a book, and just getting to realize like what real rest feels like, and not just like for an hour in between studying, but just like true rest for a full like 24 hours, has been such a blessing. And it's just like made me realize like how much of an unhealthy relationship I have with work, and how like that has pointed me further away from Christ and not further towards him. And I just keep saying like, oh, if I can just pass this test, or if I can just like get this degree, like I'll be fine. Like then I'll focus on my relationship with him. But taking the Sabbath has just shown me like I am going to work with him right now. Like I'm not going to keep putting it off. I'm not going to put my work ahead of it. Like right now is when I'm going to start working with him. And Sabbath has just been so amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Sabbath has been mentioned in I think every one of these interviews. So if you are listening to these and are like, man, they really talk about Sabbath a lot, don't worry, come to Leadership Institute. I'll teach you about why it's important. Yeah, I find that that's a really helpful reminder even now when so many of us are wanting to fight for justice and fight against systems that are unjust. And there's this desire that we have to always keep fighting. And that's a really essential thing, and to learn how to not burn out. And I think an incredible piece of that is learning to rest and realize that part of the work that needs to happen if we're going to bring about God's kingdom is that we have to have work done internally as well, that the same things we fight against are the things that exist within us. Sabbath is an invitation to look in and to say, God, like, yes, I want to work outwardly, but I also realize that there's things that need to be done internally. And Sabbath is an opportunity for that to happen. So I really appreciate that. Ashley, what about you? What disciplines have you found to be really helpful this year?
I won't say Sabbath since Grace just did, but I have been observing the Sabbath. But another thing that we learned at leadership was silence and solitude. And at first I thought, I'm a quiet person, so silence with God, no big deal. And then I did it for the first time, and I quickly found out that I have about 100 thoughts a minute that are completely random. But it's been very beneficial for my walk with him to just dedicate 5-10 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less, to just sit in silence and invite him into the space. And then also daily Bible reading. I know that sounds like, Ashley, you're terrible, but before coming to Carolina, before getting involved with university, like I would read my Bible maybe once a week, twice a week, like on my own outside of church. But I had daily devotions, and I was like, yeah, they're good, but don't just allow what you're being like fed to be what guides you. Like dive into the Bible for yourself and read God's word, because all scripture is God breathed and profitable for teaching, and truly it changes just your outlook of God, how you see life. Just allowing yourself 5-10 minutes, mostly longer, but dive into God's word. I get excited about it. Not every day, but most days.
Yeah, that's great. All right. My last question for you guys is, knowing what you know now, if you were to go back and start again and kind of start your freshman year, what's one thing that you wish you knew then that you know now?
This is so important, and I need you guys to listen. All the ladies, listen please. When you eat at Rams, and you should because they have the best desserts, and you go to the bathroom at Rams, and you go to the bathroom on the left side of the building, do not go to the third stall. The third stall's toilet flushes automatically, and that toilet is mean, rude, and disrespectful. Don't use it. It sprays up toilet water on you. Please avoid the third stall of Rams bathroom, okay? Use any other stall. There's like 6 of them.
The first sink has way too much water pressure, and it hurts your hands. But that's not my point of advice. Is that your only point of advice?
Oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah. Something important too.
I can go, and then do you want to think about it? Okay. besides the first sink, don't go to the first sink. It hurts your hands with the water pressure. You'll be surprised every time. It'll get your clothes wet. Don't do that at Rams. My advice, if I was like sitting across from freshman Grace, I would be like, dude, can you please just relax for like 3 seconds? Because I came into Carolina being like, I'm going to find friends on the first day, and I'm going to know my major on the first day, and I'm going to have a boyfriend by October, and like everything's going to be perfect and everything's going to work out. And I was like, I just had to realize like there is no rush and there's no time limit on like when you are a good Carolina student, or like when you're a good person. Like there is no like end date where it's like, if you don't have these boxes checked by then, like you're not a good Carolina student. Like I'm still figuring out like my friend group, and I still don't have a major decided yet. Like it is okay to like be confused and to not know what you're doing, because like everyone else is there. Everyone else will continue to be there for the rest of their freshman year. Like just sit down and relax and like calm down and don't stress about every little thing that's going on in your life, because I did that for the entirety of my freshman year, and I wish I wouldn't have.
Yeah, I love that advice. I think the self-importance runs deep with new college students. And unfortunately, that creates this idea of every next decision you make is the biggest decision of your life that's going to like influence your entire future. And yeah, I have not found that to be true with any decision I've made up to now. And I am older than you guys. And so I definitely know that the decisions you make in college are important, but they're not going to determine every next step for the rest of your life. Like you're not going to step off of the path of God's will for yourself and never find your way back. Like God walks with you. And so the path that you take with him is more of a meandering like road. I'm not talking about sin and not sin. I know the straight and narrow thing. I'm not referencing that. I'm referencing this idea of like, if I choose the wrong major, then I might be outside of God's will and I'll never find my way back. Like it's just not how it works. Like God is much more concerned with the person that you are and the person you're becoming than the things that you do, and that kind of like choice about your major, or choice about who you're going to date, or like what ministry you're going to get involved with. So yeah, I love that advice.
Yeah, I agree, Grace. I think that's excellent advice. Am I frozen?
Nope. You're good. Maybe you can't hear us, but we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Y'all were frozen. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. Cool. I was bouncing off of Grace. Know where your identity lies. Know where your worth comes from. And check the posture of your heart daily. Remind yourself of the gospel daily. Because when you are a Christian, when you are a follower of Christ, it's not that, oh, I'm a biology major, which I'm not, and a Christian. No, honey, you're a Christian, and understand that your value is intrinsic, that nothing that you say or do or make of yourself is going to give you more worth, but that because you are God's creation, you are valuable beyond measure, and he desires a relationship with you. So bouncing off of Grace, like don't take every little decision too seriously, because your life is spoken for.
Yeah, that's great. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're coming into Carolina next year and you're a freshman woman, check these two out. They're going to have a really cool small group, one that I would suggest that you get involved with. So thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you guys next time.